Father God, please hear my heart. I need to know the next step in Blair Underwood. I know many may see me and my success, but you know me. You've called me to use my platform to help others that can't help themselves. Our youth, the poor, those affected by HIV and AIDS, and others. Yet every step forward feels like 2 steps backwards. Dear God, as I close my eyes to go to sleep, I am praying for clarity. I'm asking you to order my footsteps. Order my footsteps. In your dear son's name, send me a bold, clear sign.
Well, it's good to see you, Brother Blair.
What? Wait. What are you, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.? Is this real?
God has a way of answering prayers in many forms.
Oh, okay. Before this dream ends, Dr. King, I have to ask, what's it really been like? All these years in heaven?
Well, I would say having the name King is a bit uncomfortable in the presence of our true king.
Hello, Blair.
Mrs. Coretta Scott? This is... Wow. You two were separated for so many years, and now you're together. What's it been like?
Brother Blair, in the physical, but never in the spiritual. During the civil rights movement, there were times that I was away from her and my family for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. It took a bit of a toll on her and the family, but now we are forever.
Well, what people fail to realize is that I was not only married to Martin, I, too, was married to the movement.
Yeah, marriage is the first covenant God ever established. The word says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. The trick is
he must find her.
In turn, there's favor, advantage in all ways. Something I dare say President Obama has learned very well.
Yes, President Obama. Dr. King, for all you fought, how did you feel about his election in 2008 as the first African-American president?
Well, more meaningful than Mr. Obama's color is his character, which we fought so hard for a man to be judged by. As I previously said in my dream speech, a man should not be judged by the color of his skin, but by the content of his character.
Yes, sir. When President Obama took office, our country was in a very sad state. He's done so much, yet he still seems to take so much flack. Do you have any advice for him? As he prepares for this next election.
Yes. I would tell President Obama the same thing I told Martin. Being the first African American to do anything is never easy. I recall it was 1967 and 68 when Martin, too, was opposed to war. The Vietnam War. We caught a great deal of flack for that also.
And so clearly I was pleased when then Senator Obama was the only one in the Senate who voted against the Iraq War, but as president also finally ending that same war. That said, I would encourage our president to continue being motivated by integrity and character and doing what's right because it's right, especially if it's against what is popular.
It's so interesting you say that. This year is another election year, and many are worried if people will even turn out on Election Day. The economy's bad, people are out of work, and Washington, D.C. just seems to, they just argue versus solve problems.
Well, this really gets to me, Blair. I would say in Selma, 1965, like now, the economy wasn't in a good place. Many black men and women in the South especially were without livable wages, yet we gathered on that Sunday to protest unfair voting practices. In turn, we were rewarded with literally the spilling of our own blood.
How did you do that? How did you not get discouraged?
Brother Blair, do you really not think that when nearly 600 of us, brave souls, marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge outside Selma, Alabama, and the state troopers were there, along with their Doberman pinchers, to meet us, that we were not discouraged?
Right.
That when Brother Jimmy Lee Johnson was murdered, when Alabama state troopers chased that young man down and murdered him behind the back of a church because he marched for the right to register, to vote. I have always believed that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice.
But honestly, I don't know if people today have what all of you had. And so many don't even seem to understand the urgency. What would you tell them?
Staying home as a person of integrity on Election Day in 2012 is as much of an insult to Jimmy Lee as it is to your existing and unborn children, who will ask you in a not-too-distant future, Mother or Father, why didn't you show up for me?
Incredible.
Brother Blair, the fight is far from over. Embarrassingly so, the United States is now the world's leading jailer. 1 out of every 3 black men in this country is connected to the criminal justice system. In California alone, the state spends an average of $47,000 a year to house a man in prison. But it fails to pay a teacher more than $35,000 for his first year's salary. All the while, after-school programs are being closed to lack of funding.
We pray that no one ever forgets what Martin said. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Brother Blair, have you ever heard of a fundraiser to keep a prison open?
No, sir. No, I can't say I have. What makes you ask this question?
2015 will mark the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln abolishing slavery. I thought that would be reason enough to celebrate, yet building prisons is one of the most lucrative sources of growth in the U.S. economy. It is also the only area where enslavement is still legal. Never in history of mankind have we ever witnessed a generation of people eagerly anticipating and wanting to be enslaved.
Martin, remember, there's no stress here.
Mrs. King, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I guess I would like to touch on one thing. History has taught us that the enemy wanted to divide and conquer. The devil has been busy breaking up our families and marriages. There's so many images of divorce being highlighted. It seems like this is the thing to do. These days we think that we are greater apart from each other. There's been a great deal of collective pain in our past because of how we've interacted with each other. There is power in numbers. Being independent of each other will only enslave us into more collective hurt. We should have more compassion towards each other. We are not each other's enemy.
Brother Blair, people often wondered how was I able to do it. It was me and my family's life that was constantly threatened. When our house was bombed, I was not alone inside my house. Now you clearly see the source of my strength.
One last question, Dr. King. Every year during the celebration of your birth, we hear your I Have a Dream speech. What can we do now, today, to bring your dream to life?
Love, vote, education, fight. You owe us nothing less than we owed you. To run the race before us so that we may obtain the victor's crown. In the spirit of sacrifice, I submit to you that if a man hasn't discovered something that he will die for, he isn't fit to live. Brother Blair, do you think you can handle that?
Sir, I will do my best.
Well, good. Now, if you don't mind, me and Coretta still have things to tend to. I say to my children, sometime as I show up in their dreams, stay encouraged, stay encouraged, stay encouraged.
To me, you've been so good to me, so very, very good to me. You gave me back my soul and everything that the locust stole. You've been so good to me. Oh, Lord, you've been good to me. Oh, my Lord. Lord, you've been so good to me. Oh, so good, so good, so good, so good, so good. Lord, you've been good to me. You gave me back my joy. Oh boy, that the devil used as his toy.